This is huge. These papers cannot be talking about this. We only learned about this from American media.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Meaning that they're aware of the discussions.
Yes.
Probably American officials have already revealed that there's a deal in place.
Yes.
Which the Daily Nation calls secret. Will you, just as Mwalimu, also dismiss these discussions?
Of course not. And even let me just entertain Sosion's thoughts for a bit and just imagine that they come with good intent. He's talking about, even if there are discussions, you know, they have to be anchored in the international laws. They have to be anchored within the Kenyan laws. And I just want to pose a question to Sosion because he is part of this government and he's a fierce defender.
A disclaimer.
So I want to pose...
I'm not part of government, but I'm a supporter.
If you may allow me...
I'm not part of being government.
Supporter, part of, you know, he's a defender of this regime, a fierce defender of this regime. And let me just entertain his thought for a bit and say that, in fact, his conversation is coming from good intent. I want to ask Sosion and all these people who are going around defending this regime, even if the fact is that these discussions have to be anchored in law, our Kenyan law, whenever have we seen this regime actually following the law? When? We had a huge crisis with the diaspora labor jobs, which was supposed to be anchored in our law, supposed to be anchored in the international labor laws. But we saw what happened. We are still counting the deaths of Kenyans out there in Russia and all these places being traded like goats and sheep. So, you know, the worst thing about this regime and the defenders of this regime is that they imagine that we are not aware of what is happening. We are very much aware of what is happening. We are very much aware of what is happening even within those discussions. So when you see the very incompetent Cabinet Secretary of Health, Aden Duala, coming out to talk about, oh, you know, we are ready and willing to set up these quarantine zones and whatever. These are people who have seen a scheme where they are going to, just like we had the COVID billionaires, where they are going to...
But Senator, it should be noted that the CS has neither confirmed nor denied.
What he has said, even if you read what is reported here, the reports further indicate that Donald Trump's administration would deploy U.S. public health officers to Kenya. For what? We have not recorded one Ebola case. Why are they deploying for us officers to come here? As far as I'm concerned, Kenya has not even recorded one Ebola case. What they are doing is they are going to send officers here because they are in anticipation of the American citizens who are coming to from the Ebola-prone zones. And Kenya has again sold its soul through this president, who is more of a con artist, who has sold its soul to basically say, okay, we are going to take up these Americans. And I can imagine this is the thought process behind it. This is what I'm thinking. This Ebola-prone zones where Americans are for whatever reasons, their healthcare facilities, both private and public, are actually not of the standard that is in Kenya. So what is actually being targeted here is that they are going to be sick Americans who apparently, it appears, if they are brought to Kenya, they might be able to be treated or whatever the thought process is, because, you know, you can't really think what Aden Duale is thinking. But the point here is why? Why are we setting up quarantine zones in Kenya when we have not recorded?
Right. And Uganda, the PS for Health in Uganda